Hi you guys, welcome back. So I'm going to be giving you some quick updates in this video because so many things have happened within this past week with Tiffany Henyard. So she did an interview where I wouldn't really call it an interview, okay? She basically did a campaign event at a radio station where the host asked her once again softball questions, kind of similar to what happened when Tiffany Henyard went on Roland Martin and when she went on the Way Up talk show with Angela Yee, where they just softballed her. And I don't know if they did any research, but I'm sure they have a team who has done research, but they just chose to ignore, those hard questions like, where's the money? Okay. That's like one of the major questions. All right. While this host did ask some questions that had the potential to be hard-hitting questions, she somehow allowed Tiffany to skirt around the questions, or she asked the questions and then began talking over the question, like the space where Tiffany's supposed to really answer. And then at one point she told Tiffany, you don't have to answer that if you don't want to. Why not? Tiffany don't have a problem running her mouth on everything else. She needs to answer to every question that's being asked, okay? So I'm not going to play the whole interview, but I am going to respond to some of the things that Tiffany said, basically debunk some of these lies that she's told in this interview. In my opinion, they're lies. And as far as I'm concerned, and from what I have seen, she's a habitual liar. All right, she's a pathological liar. She can't help herself. And even at one point during this interview, the host is saying, oh, she's looking me dead in my eye, so this is really intimate. What does that mean? Especially coming from a host like this, which word has swiftly gotten around, is that the host Cleopatra, and Cooking with Frank calls her Kleptopatra, because she was accused of stealing her opponent's sign when she was running for alderman.
Well, have you ever removed the signs?
So listen.
Today, when we spoke to Draper, she initially would not answer when asked if she'd been removing her rival signs in the far south side ward. Our surveillance camera caught her departing, then another recorded Draper walk over to pull up a sign for 9th Ward City Council member Anthony Beal, the man she's trying to unseat. She then put it in her vehicle. So how many signs have you removed of his?
You see that one sign on that corner on 103rd? That's garbage.
It was not a good look at all for a candidate to be caught pulling up someone else's signs.
By coincidence, Sheila Robinson, an ally of Tony Beal, happened to be driving by as Draper grabbed Beal's campaign sign.
I thought that was just kind of low.
A few days after that incident, another surveillance camera recorded someone removing several of Beal's signs from the block where he lives. Draper said she was not involved in that incident.
And signs just started coming up missing. I got a call from somebody on 73rd Street and called and said, hey, I'm looking at a dumpster full of your signs. And, we went over there and saw it was over 100 signs put in a dumpster.
Yes. So she's into politics as well. And she ran and she got kicked off for slay. She didn't win. So that little bit of information right there kind of gave us an insight into why she was kind of, bumping up Tiffany and not really holding her accountable to all the accusations that have been floating around. So the first thing I'm going to address is the host starts off with asking Tiffany, why is she such a controversial figure? Basically, that's what she said. Why is all this stuff being said about her? She asked her that, but then she immediately cuts Tiffany's answer off by saying, oh, wait, let's go back.
So who are you?
So just to give you a little background on me, I grew up in the village of Dolton, and that's why I go so hard for Dolton, right? Basically, my mom, them came in about 85, 87 or so, and I went to every school, Berger Vandenberg, Thornridge, Dirksen, Robert Morris University, and here I am now. When I ran for office in 2013, I became the first youngest person.
Pause, because
Okay.
you skipping over something vital.
Okay.
What super mayor sometimes forget, because she been serving for a while, is that she's an entrepreneur.
I'm gonna make burgers, but instead they're gonna be juicy burgers. When you take a bite, it just ooze all out. Perfect, right? Grease dripping down your arm. Grease dripping down your arm. Grease dripping down, dripping down, dripping down, dripping down, dripping down your arm. I'm gonna make burgers, juicy burgers.
Because a lot of people don't know about, and then she begins to talk about Tiffany's entrepreneurial background, okay? The failed burger business. She didn't say that, but she made it seem like that Tiffany was such an inspirational entrepreneur is the vibe she was giving, okay? When she was asking Tiffany these questions about, Good Burger and her history of being a quote unquote hustler, okay? That's what Tiffany calls herself. So Tiffany made a statement that when she went to school, they didn't really have too many different options of food available. So she would bring, hamburger helper type and candy and stuff, and she would sell it out of a duffel bag, okay, to her classmates and the students and everything. I really think whatever she did, if she sold some stuff, she blew it out of proportion, because then she goes on to say that she was making between $300 and $400 a day by selling snacks to students.
So when I was in school, I was always an entrepreneur. I used to sell bag candy when it was $1. You buy your chews, your fruities, and I'll sell it to all my classmates. So that's what kind of started my entrepreneur spirit. So when I went to night school, we didn't have anywhere to go to get food but the vending machines. So I then went home and I used to make meals. So I did a hamburger helper, things like that, cakes and cookies, and I sold it out of a duffel bag in school. I used to bring home $300-$400 a day.
I really doubt that, okay? I really don't think she's making bank like that, selling snacks and food to students. Maybe there was, and another YouTube mentioned, maybe there was something else in those snacks and stuff. And that's the first thing that came to my head. It's like, what else were you selling? Because it's not that serious. These students are not spending that much money with you every day. So once again, I find that really hard to believe. I really feel like she sat up there and just blatantly lied, making up stories. That's my opinion. Okay. Another thing that was talked about in this interview, and it was something that another YouTuber named Vivian Allen, and she has been holding Tiffany's feet to the fire for a long time. She never misses a beat to hold Tiffany accountable for the things that she says, because her and Tiffany actually go back, and she was once a supporter of Tiffany when Tiffany claimed to have a cancer charity that will help people out, that will give them wigs and stuff. But Vivian Allen was one of the unfortunate people that got scorned from that, okay? Because Tiffany never followed through with her promises, and we all know that the charity was just a big scam, because now she's claiming that it was never her charity, even though she is seen on video announcing that she created a charity.
I have created Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation. Well, I personally don't even have a charity. Okay. Never did. I have created Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation. But I get tired of everything because some people name something after me. Okay. But what does it have to do with me? Think about it. That's so minute. It's bigger than that.
And then she's seen running all across towns, promoting it, jumping up and down. And this is something that, Vivian Allen, went over as well through one of her videos. But another thing she mentioned that was very important is that, and that Tiffany says in this interview, because when Tiffany got into the supervisor role, she fired a lot of people just off bat. And I'm sure the reasons weren't legal. She just went ahead and did it because she had the power to do it. That's my opinion. But one of the people that she fired actually called in and questioned Tiffany about that. But anyway, they pretty much glossed over his call, and Tiffany said, "Oh, I didn't fire people. People fired themselves."
Tiffany stated that Frank didn't leave her a blue book, and she didn't know what to do. She didn't know, who to call on. But she ended up terminating everybody that knew exactly how the township operated in the appointed seat that she was appointed in. I just want to ask why she got rid of the blue book, the employees that knew how the township functioned in every department. Not every department, but administration, myself, after working there 14 years.
So you were an employee.
Absolutely.
And what was your role?
I was the media specialist. I managed our social media platforms. I did the video photography work. I managed our website.
Okay.
Yep. Pretty much all of that good stuff.
So we get into them personal tea leaves. Thank you so much, Nate. She's going to answer your question.
First of all, people terminate themselves. I didn't terminate anyone. If you're not doing your job, you don't have a job. It's just that way. People can get mad at the leader all they want. So that's what my answer is to that.
Okay, that's basically what Tiffany said. People do not fire themselves. Okay, people get fired. They don't just sign up, hey, I want to fire myself. No, they resign, they quit. They don't just say, oh, I think it's a good day to get fired. But that's what she said. So these are the type of things that she says, which really gives us an insight into her mentality. She's always right, no matter what she does. And through this whole interview, she was presented with plenty opportunities to humble herself, all right, which is something we have never seen Tiffany Henyard do. She has never been humble about anything. Everything is an attack on someone else because she cannot possibly be responsible for anything that's happened.
It's not just your way or the highway, and that's why we're here, Mayor. If you humble yourself, you can work with your team and we can work together to do the best for the residents.
Okay, she's not responsible for any deficits. And also when asked about the deficit, she didn't answer the question. Instead, she brought up, Dolton has been in debt, a water debt to the city of Chicago for blah, blah, blah. Nobody asked you about that. We know that's there. Well, at least I do, because I went back and I've watched the older board meetings, but we know that's there. That's besides the point. The point is that Tiffany Henyard, when she became mayor of Dolton, she came into office and she had a surplus. Because even herself as a trustee, along with the other trustees, held the previous mayor accountable, and they made sure that he was spending responsibly and also taking away some of his power in the process.
So he always putting it off of, I didn't have control, I don't have that, and he has bad money management. That's another reason why the board did that action. The mayor cannot manage money.
When you first asked for fireworks, you asked for $5,000. We spent $3,000 in June that was paid to Mayor Bombers. I requested a copy of donations before anybody says we got donations. We got a $2,000 donation from the Thornton Township, and then $1,000, which I don't know if that was actually for the fireworks, from 5 Point Star Concrete. But you went over the $5,000 and spent an additional $3,000. Total bills right now for special events that you spent is $30,000 in 3 months. The spending for these events has become ridiculous. So I feel as a resident that this show, which was a nice show, but of course it did not come in consent with all the additional spending that you made a decision to spend. So I'm asking to remove those items until we can do something about your spending.
So it's almost like she set herself up, okay, to have all this money just to blow it. Because that's what she did. She had a chance to really do Dolton right, to, have them ahead a little bit. Them being in debt, obviously they're not ahead, but that debt is not going away anytime soon, unfortunately, because Tiffany has only amplified it, at least in my opinion. But yeah, like I said, instead of answering of the debt in Dolton, she did what you call a straw man.
All the surpluses that I have, they don't talk about any of those things, and that's the stuff that I really want people to hear.
So surplus is where it's at. So let's talk about that, because when you inherited Thornton Township, it was a deficit.
Yes, $4.6 million.
Did you know that we got surpluses of $5.4 million in the GA fund, 2.6, I believe, but I'm gonna announce this in my report because I got it all written down. We turned the township, my team, my administration, turned the township into a surplus. And if you go and really pull the numbers, you will get the facts for yourself, but they don't talk about that.
So she claimed Thornton Township was in a deficit when she assumed office.
When I became your supervisor, y'all had a deficit.
When the real truth is that Frank Zuccarelli, who was a previous supervisor, died on January 3rd, 2022, just 2 months before Tiffany assumed office, which was March 3rd, 2022. But as we can clearly see from my little bit of research, on February 28th, 2022, the township already had a surplus of $2.2 million, or to be exact, $2,212,473 in a surplus. So, what does she say? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
Because at the end of the day, like I said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
Oh, she said that with her chest, y'all. Mm-hmm. And where are we now in that surplus?
We had $9 million surplus.
Under your leadership?
Under my leadership.
Village of Dolton, there's a deficit.
Correct.
You've talked about that openly in the meeting. Mm-hmm. Where did that deficit come from?
So we owe the city of Chicago like $13 million or so when I first got in office.
So the technique Tiffany used there was a straw man fallacy. So typically during a debate, if someone doesn't want to answer a question that they're being asked, they accuse that person of something else. So I'm going to give you this for an example. If someone says, we really need to start paying attention to how many stray cats there are in the neighborhood, let's get a plan together to try to figure this out, okay? The other debater might say, well, you must not like cats and you must want to get rid of all the cats. That is not what that person said, right? So it's just a distraction away from the original argument, and that's what Tiffany Henyard exhibited here. She exhibited a straw man fallacy when she distracted away from the host's original question about the deficit in Dolton and brought up the water debt that Dolton has been having forever. Okay, that was way before Tiffany, and it's still going to continue after Tiffany. The thing is, Dolton was in great financial shape when Tiffany got into office, but she was spending willy-nilly, just doing whatever she wanted to, not getting approval for the board. So I'm just going to show a clip for one of the board meetings where we have Trustee Ed Steve expressing his frustration with the way that Tiffany Henyard has just been spending the money.
And we usually get the bills Thursday. We got $2 million in extra spend, almost $1 million, $100,000 for a skating rink. And with the finance director to say, we're operating at a $1.5 million deficit right now. And then later on this agenda, they want to take out a loan to actually pay bills. If we were being more cautious with our money and running lean, you run lean in the government towards the end of the year because you're waiting on property taxes. And we're not getting the property taxes right now because there's so much spending.
Order in the back of the room, order.
She actually wants to take out a loan to pay bills. And if we're not responsible for this money, we're going to take out more loans, more tax anticipation loans to pay for stuff that if we were running lean, because right now property taxes are slow, we run lean, that's how you run government. But right now the spending is bananas. And that's all I'm saying is that we just want to be patient, look at it, get some answers, to come in here and talk to our village administrator and the finance director to get some clear answers on what we're paying, why we're paying this much.
And what was the deficit for? I'm assuming water.
Yeah, water. City of Chicago.
Yeah, because Harvey underwater too, right?
Yes.
I ain't gonna talk. Mayor Clark, don't you call me, but listen.
So Tiffany is now trying to push the narrative that all of the deficit that was created is from the water debt that they have with the city of Chicago. But let's look at another clip.
Oh, as relates to us doing it the right way. I stand on transparency.
They're approving $500,000 and $500,000 without board approval.
You're trying to scare the public into, we got one night to go over this. If you guys wanted to have a committee meeting or any other type of meeting, you could have called me.
This administration got handed off a great financial town because the previous administration, with Trustee House, with myself, we went through the budget. We had financial audits.
But right now, you want to do things the way you've done it in the past. And unfortunately, everything you've done in the past was not right, Trustee Stevens.
The reason why this town is in the financial condition it's in, because we took our time with the budget.
So as we can see, Dolton was financially sound, at least when Tiffany got into office, and now there's a deficit. And no, it's not just because of the water, in my opinion. It's because of Tiffany's need to be in control, do whatever she wants to do without answering to anybody, especially the trustees, because they don't just yes man all her spending. She doesn't have a yes man team in Dolton, and she no longer has a yes man team in Thornton Township. So speaking of deficits and reckless spending and all that good stuff, one of the things that was brought up during this interview was when the former mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, did an investigation into Dolton's finances, and one of the findings was that there was $40,000 spent on Amazon in one day. Tiffany addressed this accusation, and this is what she said.
And you saying that you didn't have access to the credit card?
I don't. It tells you, like everybody got Amazon accounts, right? It tells you who bought the item, when they bought the item, what the item is. Why didn't she tell y'all that? But I'm going to tell you on this show today. On the show today, when I did my research, when I saw that fake report went out, that's why I don't trust nothing they say or people they bring in, because it's all geared to make one person look bad, to try to make them look good and cover up what they've been doing. And that's what I'm going to expose. On that one day, you know what they bought? Ice for the rink. Ice. That's what it was. I made Janice and Mike Smith, when I was trying to appoint him as my assistant and my VA and all that, I had them go do the research for me and tell me what those items were. And they came back, and that's what it said, ice. And the ice is for the rink. where you put the little pieces down and have ice so they can ice skate. That's what it was for. But yet they alluded to, I went shopping, I bought this, I did that. Not true. All fake.
So it was one purchase.
It was
and this ice skating rink, was it in the town?
It's for Dalton. It's Dalton. So I wanted to give you that little piece of information because I'm doing my report too. So when I put my facts out in my report of my own, because I'm going to get facts, they just give you a fake story just to make you look over here, but you should really be looking over here.
Yeah, you guys, look over here, then look over there, but then turn around and then look over there again and then turn around and Tiffany Henyard there, but your money gone. Okay. Just, it's ridiculous because she brings this up. And so she said the $40,000 was spent on ice for the skating rink in Dalton. So who bought the ice and where did the funds come from? Because there was some back and forth at one of the board meetings that Tiffany Henyard was using taxpayer dollars to build this skating rink, which was her idea, and she'll just, because she always likes to gloat like, oh, I came up with this idea and you guys are just mad. You never come up with anything for the village. She said that at one point during, the board meetings. So that being said, when the trustees were looking over a warrant list, they were questioning Tiffany about the funds that were being used to build the ice rink. And then Tiffany totally denied using taxpayer dollars for the ice rink. Let's go ahead and look at that clip from that board meeting.
$40,000 or at Melanie Fitness to fix a pool. None of this stuff is ran before the board. None of this stuff is ran. It's done, and all of a sudden we see it, and then it's on the warrant list to pay for it. I seen the ice skating rink. I didn't know how much it cost. Supposedly we were supposed to get donations, $105,000 out of taxpayers' money to pay for it, and we don't know. And like I said, we have to take out a loan. She's asking to take out a loan just to pay bills. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. So once again, you guys had this document. You guys could have reviewed it before we got here, and like y'all always do, grandstand about things y'all don't know about. You make false accusations up here about spending and what it is that I'm truly doing. If you truly wanted to know the answer, Trustee Steves, you could have called me and asked, and then I would have gave you the answer so you wouldn't be up here just throwing things to the public. Because the things that I'm paying for that's for community is through a grant. So please get your facts right before you speak. Please.
What grant we got? What grant we got?
See how all you want all the questions now? I'm not going to go back and forth, but you can have a meeting with me. We can go over what grant we have and how we're building out the ice arena. So you can stop telling people that we're using funds of the taxpayers and this grant money that we're using to build these things that I'm creating. Just like I got another grant for $600,000 to build something else. So please get the facts before you keep lying to the public about what it is I am doing.
So literally the only one lying to the public about what she's doing is her. So the $600,000 grant money that she's talking about that she has, let's rewind a little bit and let's see what the administrator said about that grant.
I just like to make everyone aware of the OSLAD grant that we applied for, which is $600,000 for the Greenwood Falls project, which is, again, what the mayor mentioned, the skate park, the dog park, the walking trail, the splash pad, the basketball courts, the ice arena, and a few other projects that we talked about. We should hear back from the state about that within the next 30 days, but I want everybody to be encouraged. That's an additional $600,000 worth of grant. I just like to make everyone aware of the OSLAD grant that we applied for.
Yes. As he said, they applied for the grant. They don't have the grant. It's not there yet. And from what I hear, in order to get grants, you have to have audits. You have to have all your finances in check. And he also mentioned that they didn't have the audit done yet.
And also we had the delay on the audit.
So as we can see, she's trying to get the trustees to sign off on the warrant list. But the trustees were asking questions like, hey, why are all these bills on here? If you're saying all these projects are being done with grants, let us see the grants. Let us know what they are. Give us the paperwork. But Tiffany Henyard is refusing to give the trustees, you guys, trustees, who is responsible for how the money is spent. Okay, they can't spend the money actually themselves, but they are responsible for guiding the way the money is spent. But Tiffany Henyard refuses to give them the paperwork for the quote unquote grants. I wonder why that is, right? She even then goes on to say that she would have no problem giving them the information about the grants if they would just have a meeting with her.
So please get your facts right before you speak. Please.
What grant we got? What grant we got?
See how all you want all the questions now? I'm not going to go back and forth, but you can have a meeting with me. We can go over what grant we have and how we're building out the ice arena. So you can stop telling people that we're using funds of the taxpayers and this grant money that we're using to build these things I'm creating.
So naturally, she doesn't want to discuss anything at the board meeting because God forbid she slips up and is actually transparent about these things in front of the residents, right? That's what it sounded like to me. She even says in this video that she has no problem sitting down with them, going over it and how all these things are being done.
I'm not going to go back and forth, but you can have a meeting with me. We can go over what grant we have and how we're building out the ice arena.
Well, why don't you do it right now? Isn't that the ultimate transparency, to go over it right there in front of the residents as well? But that's not what she wants to do here, right? She even says in this video, I would have no problem giving you guys that information if you work with me. She's admitting to holding information hostage. She talks so much, she doesn't realize how much she gets herself caught up. And so when the day comes, and the day will come, when they come for her, they have more than enough evidence to do something with. All right, that's all I'm gonna say. And that's my opinion, because it's like she can't stop herself. And someone mentioned in one of my comments is that Tiffany Henyard is basically the patsy, that she is being used as a puppet for someone else to drain the accounts, to basically mess the cities up. And that could be the case as well. But why is she allowing herself to be used? Because she loves the attention. She loves the money. She loves all the wigs and the outfits that she can buy herself and build up this image of herself as a modern day Rosa Parks. Oh God, you guys. This is another thing that she brought up during this interview. She compared herself to Rosa Parks. Okay, it's disgusting. It's at some level it gets disgusting, because how dare she compare her situation that she's creating right now? Okay, she's creating this situation for herself. All right,
Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, and I tell everybody I am her. I am Rosa Parks. The difference between back then and now is I'm living the same dream as her. What did she not want to do? Give up her seat, right? She would not give up her seat. What am I doing today? Not giving up my seat.
So the systems that are in place right now are not the exact same systems that were in place back then when Rosa Parks took that stand or that sit and chose not to get up for a white passenger on the bus when she was in the colored section of the bus, because segregation, and a white passenger told the bus driver that the white section was full, and so she wanted Rosa Parks to move. And so Rosa Parks resisted that, and from there that started a movement. So Rosa Parks was not the first person to resist bus segregation, but the NAACP believed that she was the best candidate for seeing through a court challenge after her arrest for civil disobedience. So, people, you need to know your history, all right? So you can realize the blasphemy that comes from people like Tiffany Henyard when they compare themselves to people who actually went through the trials and tribulations to get us in the positions that we're able to effortlessly get now. Okay, everything comes with hard work. All right, so all this color and all this and that, there's a lot of people of every different color, background, origin who work super hard just to try to get to certain levels of success. And no matter what color they are, the challenges they can be faced with on their journey to where they want to be in life can be just as challenging to someone else of a different nationality, race, whatever. Okay, so all this race baiting and stuff, and I usually don't talk too much in depth about racism and things like that because it is such an emotionally packed topic. And it's not something I'm going to be going too much in depth about on my channel. That's just not what my channel is about. I'll mention things here and there, but that's not the main focus of my channel. Because just in my own life, I work in a place where I'm surrounded by a lot of different people, a lot of different nationalities, and I don't dislike a certain group. Okay, I dislike certain people because of the certain things they've shown me about themselves. That's how I decide if I don't like someone. And even then, to say that I don't like someone that's just what it is, and I leave it at that, and I leave that person alone and I stay away from that person. But you guys, I've just done veered off track. So we're going to get back to this video and get on back to the little updates with Tiffany Henyard. So yeah, I just thought it was really despicable for her to compare herself to a civil rights leader. It comes to a point. Like, you are the mayor, you are a supervisor, you have privilege of those seats. So to get on here and constantly complain, I'm a black woman, I'm a single mom. Get in line, lady. There's so many more that are black women that are single moms. I mean, what do you want? You want a reward? You want a cookie? It's like, speak to some other stuff, all right? Make it make sense. But quit using that as a shield, like, oh, I said this, so you can't say anything to me. I can't be held responsible for anything I've done because of the oppression of my ancestors. Those are your ancestors, and they worked very hard and diligently to get people to where they are now. And if anything, you should be humble and grateful and take full advantage of the power that you are given right now. And unfortunately, that is not what Tiffany Henyard is doing. She's doing the exact opposite. Acting real trifling. All right. But you guys, I'm done preaching. Let me get back to this. So really, the rest of this interview was just pretty much Tiffany lying. Okay, saying the same things over and over again, saying that she gives the news stations evidence, and she gives them videos, and she sends them documentation, and they never put it up. So she has to build her platform where she can give out, the real information, which she still has yet to do.
I think that someone bigger is behind it all, paying for all the negative media, because every time I send in a clip or get them facts or get them proof or get them documentation, they don't even put it up. And then I have to create my own platform and put it up on there to show people the truth.
She's done plenty of videos though saying, I'm gonna get y'all the receipts. I'm gonna show you. How many years has it been? It's been about 2+ years, probably even 3 now, that she's been giving us that same spiel, that she's going to show the receipts. And then the next video is just the same thing.
So it takes a lot of courage to keep pushing and keep moving, and I keep going, and I keep elevating and showing y'all what it is I'm going to do with Dolton. And I keep trying to show you, keep pointing it out, keep showing you the smear campaign that people are doing, the mess that's going on. We got surpluses in Thornton Township, millions surplus under my leadership. But they don't show y'all that because they got to keep this negative energy going.
What did I tell you, huh? The worst. She's the worst in the world.
Just her constantly regurgitating the same rhetoric that the trustees don't do nothing, that trustees' fault, they hold the purse, they they ran everything into deficits. It's literally the same thing on every quote unquote show receipt video that she has. She has yet to show the receipts. She has yet to show the documentation. If she's given the receipts and documentation and videos to those news stations, why doesn't she just pop it up on her Facebook? Because she's popping something up there every other day, right? How easy would that be? If she wants the news to put it out, why don't you put it out, Tiffany? If in fact you really have it, or in fact you want to, because she doesn't want to. But let's get back to the other recent news, and it's exciting because this is where it's going to start to get interesting for Tiffany Henyard in her job as supervisor in Thornton Township. Is that this lady right here, Stephanie Wiederman, actually got the open position as trustee with Thornton Township.
Thornton Township has a new trustee. Residents gathered last night to pick a replacement for one trustee who had resigned last year.
From Thornton Township employee to trustee.
How are you feeling after last night? Invigorated. I feel great. It was very positive to see the residents come out, to see that there was unity, that it was peaceful.
Okay, so she now sits on the board of trustees as Thornton Township. And this is where we start to see this whole Dolton Thornton Township hot mess situation come in full circle, okay? Because karma comes back around, baby. It always does. So when you are wronged, as long as you fight for justice and you don't give up and you know you're right, just keep fighting. It's going to come back. And the person who did you wrong, they are going to get their just due. They're going to get what's coming to them. I'm a firm believer in that karma will come around and bite you in the butt. And so with Stephanie getting that job as trustee, there's now Chris, Carmen, and Stephanie who can actually sit there and vote, and who will not just be a rubber stamp for Tiffany Henyard. So it's going to be interesting to see how these Thornton Township board meetings go from now on. So the other thing about Stephanie is that she's one of the people that Tiffany Henyard fired when she became supervisor. She didn't give her any real reasons as to why she fired her, just went ahead and fired her, probably because she disagreed with her on something. She has always been an obvious non-supporter of Tiffany Henyard, and she actually blew the whistle on Tiffany's cancer charity, okay, because Tiffany had gotten $10,000 donated from Thornton Township to her cancer charity, and that was something that Stephanie Wiedemann brought to light. And so of course Tiffany, she didn't like that, so she had to get rid of her ASAP. So now Stephanie is back in the game, and a lot of people were excited. They showed up in drones, okay. They really showed up. And you guys, I know I said that wrong, but if you've been watching this whole controversy, you know what I meant. But yeah, a lot of people showed up in support of Stephanie, and it was like so effortlessly that she got that position. Now that's what happens when people show up in support of someone. Not like what Tiffany was claiming about the caucus, how she's just, they didn't let us in, and I had all these supporters and they didn't let in. No, you didn't have all those supporters. You lost because you lost. And she didn't have a full slate, so she doesn't even address the fact that she doesn't have a full slate. But yeah, she just kept on crying about the caucus. But when Stephanie got that position, that was a prime example of when you actually have supporters. All right.
And at this time, the moderator will determine the winner. And I'm the moderator. And the winner is Stephanie Henyard.
But you guys, that is going to be it. And once again, if you made it this far, please remember to leave this video a like. And if you're new here, subscribe.